Today, I'm still covering the section in chapter 6 called The Lessons of the Holy Spirit, but now I'm covering part 1. There are 3 parts that this section is divided into. Last video, I covered the introduction, and here is part 1. To have, give all to all. This part 1 is called. When your body and your ego and your dreams are gone, you will know that you will last forever. Why? Why are we lasting forever when all our dreams are gone? Because we are pure spirit, extending love eternally. That is our truth. That is why we will last forever when our dreams are gone. Perhaps you think this is accomplished through death. But nothing is accomplished through death because death is nothing. How can that be, you might say? Well, because this world isn't real, these bodies aren't real, therefore death is not real. Everything that appears to decay and die in our dream is an indicator that it's a dream, that this is an illusion, because who we are in truth is spirit, and spirit lives forever. There is no death. Here in our illusory world, where bodies appear to die, they are just reborn in a different form. Whether it's a human body or any other type of body, anything that seems to be separate and have a life in this world that then changes or ends. That's how we know it's an illusion, because that's not possible in truth. Our truth is spirit. Our truth is eternal. Everything is accomplished through life, right? Nothing is accomplished through death. Death isn't even real. Everything is accomplished through life. And life is of the mind and in the mind. Okay? That's real life. That's real living. That's what God is, extending love eternally in the so-called mind of God, right? I point to my brain because we think we have these bodies and this is our mind. Our mind doesn't have form. So everything is accomplished through life, and life is of the mind of God. The body neither lives nor dies because it cannot contain you who are life. Okay, so when he's saying that we are life and we cannot be contained, he's talking about our spirit. That's who we really are. And this little body that we think that we are could never contain us, our true self, our spirit, who we really are. The body could never contain that. If we share the same mind, you can overcome death because I did. So Jesus is saying, if we share the same mind, which we do, by the way, we just have to wake up and listen to it. We are one with Jesus. We do share the same mind. He did wake up from the dream. Now he's trying to teach us how to do it. So if we stay open to his teachings and his lessons, stay open to Holy Spirit, which is that higher part of our mind, we will learn what we need to learn in order to keep awakening more and more and more from the dream. Now, it appears that way in the illusion, like we're slowly waking up from the dream, but in truth, the dream isn't even here. So there's only the now moment, right? There's no past, there's no future, there's only the now. And in each now moment is eternity, because eternity consists of each now moment going on and on and on forever. So if we join our mind with Jesus or Holy Spirit, you can use either teacher, both, it doesn't matter. They're just higher aspects of ourselves. Those teachers that come from our higher mind will awaken us. Death is an attempt to resolve conflict by not deciding at all. That means not deciding at all for spirit. By default, just not deciding. And then by default, we are believing we are ego. By default, we keep reincarnating into ego bodies, believing we are separate, believing this is our real home, is this world, this dream of separation. And the ego just wants to continue to live, right? So through faking and pretending that death is some sort of answer, the ego gets to continue on in a different body, on and on and on, for as long as we keep giving our mind to the ego, as long as we make no choice. If we make no choice, by default, we are choosing ego. So we have to be the chooser. We have to make the choice and choose spirit. Like any other impossible solution the ego attempts, it will not work. He's telling us, you can keep trying, but it ain't going to work. God did not make the body because it is destructible and therefore not of the kingdom, right? Anything that appears to be destructible, anything that appears to be able to die, isn't real. That's our tip to know what's real and what's not. The body is the symbol of what you think you are, right? We think we're separate. We think we're destructible. It is clearly a separation device, the body, right? And therefore does not exist because nothing that appears to be separate actually exists. The Holy Spirit, as always, takes what you have made and translates it into a learning device, okay? So every time we are not at peace, that is a teaching tool to get us to choose again, to get us to choose spirit. Again, as always, he reinterprets what the ego sees as an argument for separation into a demonstration against it. So all the things in this world that we feel solidify the ego's reality, the Holy Spirit will use those things to show us the opposite, to show us our truth. And again, it's our pain, it's our non-peace that leads us to this. And we don't need to worry about it. You don't need to figure it all out. All you need to do is say, I think I'm an ego, therefore I know nothing. Okay, Holy Spirit, Jesus, higher aspect of my mind, come in and shine the light. Show me the way. And then just be still and listen, okay? That doesn't mean you have to sit and meditate for hours on end or anything like that. I hear Holy Spirit all the time because I developed a relationship with Holy Spirit. You only need to be still a moment or many moments, however moments you feel like you need in order to receive the love and the light that you are looking for from Holy Spirit or from Jesus. You can choose either one. You can choose both. Whichever speaks to you in a certain moment. It doesn't matter. They're all pretend figures. It's all an illusion. They're just us. There's only one of us. So use the tool. Use the method that we are being taught to awaken from the dream, which brings us out of pain and into love, into wholeness. If the mind can heal the body, but the body cannot heal the mind, then the mind must be stronger than the body. Oh my gosh, I love that. Pure logic, right? So if the mind can heal the body, right? Anyone who has any interest in spirituality at all knows that the mind can heal the body. We've seen this many times. But the body cannot heal the mind, right? The body has no ability to heal the mind. Then the mind must be stronger than the body. That's just pure logic. Every miracle demonstrates this. So remember, a miracle is when we remember to choose correctly, when we choose with Holy Spirit. That is the miracle, when we see our truth in any given now moment. I have said that the Holy Spirit is the motivation for miracles, right? When we listen to Holy Spirit, when we identify with the right part of our mind, our higher mind, it is a demonstration. It motivates us to see correctly, and that is the miracle. He always tells you that only the mind is real because only the mind can be shared. We try to share our bodies all the time, right? It doesn't really work. What we really want to do is share our mind, which means love. It means extension of love. And all of us have a desire to be truly helpful and truly loving and truly loved. And love is the only thing that can truly be shared. The body is separate and therefore cannot be a part of you. Right? Again, with that math, with the logic, we are whole. So if the body's separate, we can't be the body. To be of one mind is meaningful, but to be of one body is meaningless. Okay, again, bodies, sharing bodies, what we do with our bodies is completely meaningless. What we do with our mind, which teacher we identify with in our mind, means everything. By the laws of the mind, then, the body is meaningless. Okay, again, pure logic. To the Holy Spirit, there is no order of difficulty in miracles, right? Because the illusion's not real. So there's no order of difficulty in miraculous things happening, meaning waking up to our truth, within a dream. It's all the same. You either are wrong or right. You're either choosing ego or spirit. So there's no order of difficulty. That's just part of our illusion. This is familiar enough to you by now, but it has not yet become believable, right? We don't believe it, all the things that I just said. Our egos are not believing it. Therefore, you do not understand it and cannot use it, right? As long as we're lost and confused in ego identification, we're not going to understand what Jesus and Holy Spirit are trying to teach us. We have too much to accomplish on behalf of the kingdom to let this crucial concept slip away. So the kingdom is just another word for heaven, which is a state of oneness. It's all of us being one with one another and one with God. And in order to return our mind to the kingdom, we need to follow Holy Spirit. We need to let Holy Spirit guide our mind. It is a real foundation stone of the thought system I teach and want you to teach. Meaning that our bodies aren't real and our bodies are meaningless. This is a foundation stone for what he is teaching us. He then wants us to teach everyone else, not teaching like a teacher does or like I'm doing in these videos, but with our mind. We are teaching others who and what we are and what they are with the perception we are using in our mind, ego perception or spirit perception. That's how we teach. You cannot perform miracles without believing it because it is a belief in perfect equality. So this is a course in miracles. The miracle is knowing our truth, identifying with spirit, knowing that we are one with one another in God, extending love eternally. That is the miracle. And when we practice miracles, it means that we're believing it. We can't do it unless we believe it. And even if we're only believing it for that one now moment, and then we forget again and we fall back into ego, it's okay. You're going to remember again. It's some now moment in the future. And then just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. Guess what? There's nothing better for us to do with our so-called time here in our illusory life, right? What else do we have to do except wake up? All these things our ego self thinks it's doing, accomplishing and doing all these things is meaningless. There's nothing here. The most meaningful thing that we can do with our life in every now moment is to identify with spirit. That's what he's teaching us. Only one equal gift can be offered to the equal sons of God, and that is full appreciation, meaning fully appreciating that we are love, that we are spirit, that we are one, that we are whole. Nothing more and nothing less. Without a range, order of difficulty is meaningless, and there must be no range in what you offer to your brother. Meaning in the world of spirit, where we are perfect and whole, there's no range. There's no order of difficulty. There's no ranking. There's no hierarchy. We are all just one, and we are all love. The Holy Spirit, who leads to God, translates communication into being, just as he ultimately translates perception into knowledge. Fancy words to talk about how Holy Spirit takes us from perceiving any part of this dream to fully releasing it, letting him shine it away, and fully being identified with spirit. The ego uses the body for attack, for pleasure, and for pride. The insanity of this perception makes it a fearful one indeed. The Holy Spirit sees the body only as a means of communication. And because communicating is sharing, it becomes communion, right? Being one. Perhaps you think that fear as well as love can be communicated and therefore can be shared. Yet this is not so real as it may appear, right? Because fear cannot be shared and communicated because it's not real. It's part of the ego illusion. But love can be shared and communicated because it is real. Those who communicate fear are promoting attack, and attack always breaks communication, making it impossible. So he's using two different versions of communication. He's talking about that we can communicate fear within the ego world, but that's not real communication. That's just prolonging ego identification, where Proper communication, real communication, only happens with one another and with God when we are sharing, extending love eternally. That's why he's saying those who communicate fear are promoting attack, because that kind of communication is ego identified. Therefore, it is attacking. Egos do join together in temporary allegiance, but always for what each one can get separately, right? If people come together within our illusory world, they might be working on, a common goal or something like that, but it's still for their own individual separate accomplishments why they're doing it. The Holy Spirit communicates only what each one can give to all. Okay, so the first example I just gave of what happens in the world, that's not giving to all, that's still separate interests. But when we give to all, it means that we are acknowledging our oneness. We are acknowledging that we are all spirit. We are acknowledging that we are love, and that is how we are giving to all. He never takes anything back because he wants you to keep it. So when Holy Spirit shines love and light on us, he doesn't take any of it back. He wants us to keep it. He wants us to keep being in love and light. Therefore, his teaching begins with the lesson to have, give all to all. So what that means is to have peace, to have love, to have that experience of oneness, we have to give that to everyone else. We have to know that they are love, that they are spirit, that they are one with us and with God. That is how to have all. We give all to all. This is a very preliminary step and the only one you must take for yourself. So that's what we need to do. We need to practice forgiveness. We need to practice miracles. And then Holy Spirit takes care of the rest. That's all we need to do is choose Holy Spirit. It is not even necessary that you complete the step yourself, right? Because Holy Spirit will help us. We don't need to do it ourselves. But it is necessary that you turn in that direction, meaning we have to turn to Holy Spirit. We have to turn in the direction of Holy Spirit. We have to ask for Holy Spirit's help. We have to choose it. Having chosen to go that way, you place yourself in charge of the journey where you and only you must remain, right? We are the choosers. We get to decide, are we going to go with ego or are we going to go with spirit? We're the chooser. This step may appear to exacerbate conflict rather than resolve it, because it is the beginning step in reversing your perception and turning it right side up. So in our dream ego life, when we first start practicing miracles and start following Holy Spirit, it can seem at first like we are exacerbating conflict. It can seem like conflict is happening in our world because suddenly our mind is conflicted because we went from complete default ego system to a little bit of Holy Spirit system. Now our ego's in conflict. And that's why in our illusory ego world, we appear to be at conflict sometimes, or appear to have more conflict in our life sometimes as we are waking up from the dream. But it just appears that way because we are taking everything we ever thought, everything we ever identified with in our lives, in our world, and turned it completely upside down. And then we're all discombobulated, and then there can be periods of what appears to be like conflict. But it's okay. Remember, the dream is meaningless. Everything that appears to happen in the dream is meaningless. So just roll with it, ride with it. It's a part of the process of waking up. The ego is going to fight tooth and nail to stay, to remain. And even though I've been practicing this course for decades, my ego is still constantly trying to get me to re-identify with ego. And as the years go on, and I use illusory time as a tool to continue to practice forgiveness, I believe in the dream less and less. It affects me less and less. I have more and more peace. That is the process he's asking us to go through. So always remember that you are the chooser, and you have the power to choose Holy Spirit. If you don't choose Holy Spirit, by default, you will be choosing ego. And that's okay. It's nothing to feel bad about. It just means we need to keep practicing. That's what illusory time is for, to give us as much time as we need to wake up. Okay, so he was talking about reversing our thinking, turning it upside down. This conflicts with the upside down perception you have not yet abandoned, meaning ego. Ego has the upside down perception, right? It's all wrong and upside down, that we have not yet abandoned, right? Because we're still identifying with ego, because we still think we're here. But none of this conflict would be happening if change weren't necessary, right? The conflicts only happen because change is necessary. We want to change to identify with spirit. We do not want to identify with ego any longer because it brings us pain. Some remain at this step for a long time, experiencing a very acute conflict, right? We see this in our world all the time. I see it with people who aren't course students, and I see it with people who are course students who stay stuck on that step. It's very difficult for them to get out of the ego habits. And so that's why some will remain at that step for a long time, and that's okay. That's what we have illusory time for, to give us as much time as we need to wake up. At this point, they may try to accept the conflict rather than take the next step towards resolution. All right. Another mistake a lot of course students make is that they give up. You know, they start to do this course. Like I said, there will be periods of upset where the ego is fighting back. When those happen, they go, oh, this is upsetting. This can't be right. And then they go right back into the ego framework, into ego beliefs, and they give up. So he's telling us, don't give up. This too shall pass. It's okay. This is a world of duality anyway. We're used to it, right? What goes up must come down. We're used to all the opposites. So obviously, when we are working towards the light in this world of duality, darkness will then come in and try to fight the light. That's okay. Just roll with it. Don't make it important. Don't make it meaningful. Don't make it scary. Laugh at the ego. Know that it's silly. Laugh at yourself when you're identifying with ego. Know that it's silly. Know that it's meaningless. And then it will lose its sting. It will lose its power over time. Having taken the first step, however, they will be helped. Okay, so as soon as we ask Holy Spirit for help, Holy Spirit will help us. So if someone asks for Holy Spirit, the light shines in, all of a sudden there's all this conflict with their ego world and their ego identity. Some will then abandon the light and go back into darkness because it's more comfortable. They're used to that type of conflict. But what he's saying is, don't do that, because you've already asked for the light. The light started to come in, so stick with it. If you keep doing it, more light will come. You're already being helped. Believe in that. Put your faith in that. Know that that's what's important. Once they have chosen what they cannot complete alone, they are no longer alone. That is the end of part 1 of that section, explaining to us how we are not our bodies. Bodies are meaningless. All that's real is spirit. As soon as we want to know that, as soon as we ask Holy Spirit to come in and shine the light on us and teach us our truth, we can never unknow that. We've already made that little bit of progress. So even if someone doesn't make any more progress in that particular lifetime, other than that one time that they asked Holy Spirit and had some light shine in, and then, they cowered and went right back into their ego world and lived out that life for the rest of that particular lifetime, that little bit that they allowed the light to come in will carry over with them to every other incarnation that they have. They will continue to wake up. They just weren't ready so much in that particular lifetime. They were only ready for a little bit of light, okay? There's no judgment. I'm trying to explain different ways that this can happen because it looks different in everyone's life. And we are all going to wake up at a different pace. And there's no contest. There's no better or worse. There's just a desire for light and love, and a determination and a focused mind in pursuing love and light. That is all we need to do. So relax. Don't judge. Don't be in a hurry. Just continue to use your illusory dream to see all the ways that you are not at peace and not happy, and to know that those are tools, those are lessons for you to see it a different way, for you to use your spiritual sight, to use spirit to see that it's not real. It never really happened. It's just an ego belief and separation. It's a false belief. And that our truth, remember he said in this part, do only that. Our truth is choose only spirit. That's it. Keep doing that every time you can remember to do it.